You're part of the archives.
Yeah, I'm
We're going to pull you out off the shelf.
I know. It's time for to put me at the pasture.
This is Paul Smith.
Marc, we're back.
We're back in the archives for another episode of From the Archives.
Yeah, one of my favorite things we do.
It's so much fun. We get to show off all the cool stuff we have in our company archives and always seem to find something new and interesting to talk about.
So, Marc, the book of the first 1,000 private stocks is here.
That's correct. Number 1 to 1,000. All the letters we used to, well, we still do send letters talking about the guitar and all the specs of it, signed by you. A little souvenir for the
Private
owner.
stock is a way of getting from us a beautiful custom-made guitar to pretty exotic standards. Marc, it's going to be 30th anniversary of private stock. How many private stocks have we made to date?
It's well over 10,000. I think it's actually approaching 13,000, which is incredible to me.
13,000 is a lot of guitars.
That is a lot of guitars.
So I understand these 3 guitars aren't from our archives. They're from Brian's Guitars and Jim Jannard.
That's correct. They're on loan to us.
Maybe they belong in our archives. Maybe Jim will just give them to us.
I think he should.
He's not going to. All right. Well, Brian, Jim, thanks for sending them. Very appreciated.
It is private stocks numbers 1, 2, and 3, built back in January of '96. It was the beginning of the private stock program.
I really feel obligated to let everybody know how it started. And I'd be remiss not to talk about how involved Joe Knaggs was in starting this entire thing with private stock, which I really appreciated. He put his love and care into this thing for a long time. Joe was the first director of private stock, making literally these things by hand. It didn't start as private stock. So there was a private stash of wood.
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, the private stash was you seeing wood that was coming in, and back then, like, the wood that we got was nice, but it wasn't like what we get today. And you saw some exceptional stuff, and you're like, this is getting set aside.
Set aside. There was
beyond 10 top.
Some extraordinary woods that had come in, and it was special stuff. There was a lot of bird's eye maple of all weird things in the stack. It was really nice stuff. But it was called the private stash, and the reason we didn't call these guitars private stash because it had a drug connotation.
Right. Private stock sounds much classier.
It was much classier. Yeah. But it was really our private stock of wood that people would pick from. Later, it became a big stack of wood in my office, which I named the mousetrap for rock stars. Because if a rock star was in the building and they got near the wood, they got weird because they had guitars written on their bones, and here was the unbelievable curly maple and neck blanks and fingerboards to build a guitar, and that whole process of having each piece picked out and then making a guitar started. But in the beginning, we did a guitar of the month before private stock started.
So Paul, the guitars of the month, some of them were just sort of, they were models that we made, but they were unique paint jobs or inlays. Each guitar was distinctly different from month to month. Like, where did those ideas come from?
The guitars of the month, most of those came from ideas that I had that I talked to Joe about. Some of the ideas came from him. And I thought that we could be in the custom order business. To do something different every month, I thought sent a good message to us that we were capable of it, to the market that we were capable of it, that they were beautiful. There was a stir about how artistic they were and what high caliber instruments they were. And from what I understand, about 5 or 6 of those are coming back here as well on loan from Brian so that we can show people what those guitars of the month were. But at the end of that, we started private stock. You know, for me, having a guitar that was custom ordered and the customer was involved in the order process, it was cool.
Yeah.
These instruments, I think, were ordered as some of the first private stocks. So what, you have it as private stock 1, 2, and 3. Is that how this is set up?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Okay.
Shoo, look at that.
Yeah.
Man, that is gorgeous. That hasn't been hanging in a window.
Fascinating. So this has a curly mahogany neck, a Brazilian rosewood fretboard. These are mammoth ivory inlays with gold outlines. You see the gold outlines?
Yep.
A beautiful quilt maple top. Boy, the guitar's in perfect condition. Looks like it was shipped yesterday. My signature's changed.
Yeah, this is immaculate.
That's cool.
So pretty.
Well, I understand why Jim Jannard lent it to us. It's very cool. All right, so why don't we put it up? I mean, it really is more of the beginning of Violent Amber, right?
Yes.
And quilt guitars. And it was interesting. Mammoth ivory, it doesn't make elephants go extinct, but they put a restriction on it because a lot of the import-export people can't tell the difference.
Right.
And under a microscope, you can see that the cross grain is different. But this stuff shows up, in roads in the tundra where something's wearing away or the ice is melted back and there's this big tusk in the ground and they dig it up and we made inlays out of it. I thought it was beautiful.
It's a shame. It is a really beautiful inlay, but if it keeps elephants safe, I'm all about it.
Yeah, I'm all about it too. I have one of these Mammoth ivory inlay guitars at my home, and it's cracked because it's so old. I mean, stuff's 20,000 years old, right? Why don't we get the second one out and see what it's like? It's a beautiful guitar. That's number one, huh?
Yep.
Number two, Mark. Ooh.
Wow.
I said this looks almost exactly the same with a different kind of top, right?
Yep. Yeah, man, that top
It's got a curly mahogany neck again.
Man, just look at that binding.
Yeah, it's pretty.
That's incredible.
The thing's in mint condition. Same thing, Mammoth ivory inlays with a gold outline.
It's a pretty classic guitar.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Ooh, neck's even nicer on this one.
Well, it's the same tree, the neck wood, but in different places of the tree had different amounts of curl.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So the eagle on the headstock, that obviously was a symbol of private stock from the very beginning.
Right, but it was also
what was the thought?
predated it as well. I mean,
pre-factory stuff had that, but what was the thought when it's like, all right, we're doing private stock, it's going to have an eagle?
Let's put the bird from the original guitars that were in the shop. Putting the bird on the headstock was much more of a logo for these instruments.
You want to set that up?
Yeah, I'll set this up. I feel like Vanna White,
Yeah.
Look at the guitar.
I have a feeling the third one's a little bit different.
Yeah. We'll see. Ooh.
Almost the same.
It's out of the same batch of thinking, right? This
But,
has the original dragon that Jude Van Dyke drew.
It's a seahorse.
Well, we never called it a seahorse. I know it is a seahorse. We never called it a seahorse. Same Mammoth ivory inlays with gold outlines. But this was on the guitar that I played at Charlie's West Side and in the bars in Annapolis for a really long time. And to put one on it, I thought was cool.
I just recently found all that old footage that Carrie Ziegler posted of you playing a Band of 1,000 Names. It's amazing. You should look it up. Band of 1,000 Names, Charlie's West Side in Annapolis.
Yeah. There was no social media at the time, but and there was no way to look on the website to find out where we played. Every place we played was packed. There was a word of mouth in town.
Yeah.
And when Kerry joined that band, we were just off to the races, me and Russell.
Yeah.
There were 3 different drummers.
The thing that amazes me is there were no cell phones back then.
No.
So somebody wasn't recording it on their cell phone. Somebody had a big camcorder filming you
Yeah,
guys.
of course it was. Yeah,
So-
and
and it's still
how did all the
terrible
people show
footage,
up?
but-
They must have called each other on the home
Yeah.
phones. There were no cell phones. It didn't exist.
That's awesome. So, Paul, in the wood that we got, the private stash, like, how did we acquire such incredible wood? It seems like a very rare thing.
Just by hunting,
Yeah.
by talking to wood dealers. I don't know exactly where we bought this piece of wood, but I can tell you at the time, some of these wood dealers would literally go into the forest and chainsaw the tree down and pack it out in backpacks,
Yeah.
in the pieces big enough to make a guitar top out of. I suspect this is a piece of West Coast maple, which is big leaf maple from upper parts of California all the way through British Columbia. And that packing the wood out in backpacks happened up in the northwest of the United States and up into Canada.
Yeah.
But, when these things are this curly, they stain up beautifully. But what I've heard, that the University of Washington planted a whole bunch of curly maple seeds from curly maple trees. They didn't get one stick of curly maple out of it, so it wasn't genetic.
Right. It's environmental somehow.
Well, according to the loggers that we knew, if you found a hump in the ground in the woods, you immediately started looking for curly maple trees, because when the out of your mommy tree fell over and this huge amount of light would come into the from the canopy, the really small trees would grow quickly and they'd go curly. So one time, one of our friends found a very large cemetery on the top of a mountain, and where they'd cut the wood out for putting the cemetery in, the light reached the baby trees around the outside. All of those trees
So the
were
whole
curly.
ring of trees.
Yeah, were
That's
curly.
crazy.
I can't prove it, but that is what the loggers have kind of figured out.
I've heard a number of different theories, but that one makes a lot of sense. Like a tree experiencing faster growth.
Yeah, it had a lot of stress among curly, right? Now, with quilted maple, which is what the first 2 guitars were,
Yeah.
very often that stuff is quilted on one side of the tree and the other side of the tree is not quilted. So when they cut the tree, a lot of it is scrap, and they don't want that to happen.
Is that why quilted is harder to find? I know we don't
it's harder
get as
to
much
find,
of it.
period, and the loggers can't get a good yield out of the tree.
Paul, can you tell everyone about Private Stock Team and like what that looks like?
It's a group that is separate but integrated into the manufacturing area. They're not just gifted guitar makers that are working on private stocks, but they're also teachers for the rest of the business. The more private stock goes on, the more they are becoming teachers for everybody else. I'm kind of stunned sometimes. I'll come up and go to sign one, and I go, whoa, what is that? There was one guitar in particular that was this, when wood lays on the ground, it begins to rot and it gets these black lines in it, and it'll get these
the
punky.
spalted maple?
Yeah, and what they had done was, in some of the areas they had put gilding, and some of the areas they left the wood, and it looked literally like a museum. It was a museum piece. There are times when I'm signing the guitars, I just can't even believe how much the visually it's jumping off the table. Private stock has grown a huge amount. The amount of industry-leading colors that have been developed down there, the amount of industry-leading guitar designs that have been transferred back into production. You've got so many artists that work in private stock that they just can't even help themselves. You know, all these new inlay patterns, all these new colors, and very, very often, which is not really well understood, not only are people ordering guitars in private stock, but private stock is the team that's putting the prototypes together for the artists when we come out with an artist model.
Yeah.
All that Herman Lee stuff that we just did all came through private stock. So
it's a very talented team of people.
that would be an understatement. It's hundreds of years of
an
experience.
exceptional group of people pulled from a talent pool of the entire factory. There's a lot of talented people in the entire factory, and these are the best of the best. So,
but this team of people, that doesn't happen without a lot of care, and they are really working hard to have everything be special.
yeah, they take a lot of pride in what they do.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
for sure.
And they're very talented. A few of them are MICA graduates, which is Maryland Institute for the Creative Arts. They have art degrees.
Yeah, and several went to luthier school before coming here.
And it was one of their goals to be on the private stock team. So the whole private stock team is run by Paul Miles.
Right.
And he's been running it for a long time.
Very long time.
His artistic sense, his care and meticulousness is spread out amongst the team. And everybody should know that private stock wouldn't be what it is today without Paul's enthusiasm and drive and artistic sense. There's a lot of inlay work he's designed, you know.
That's true.
A lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, he's one of the MICA grads you mentioned before.
Yeah.
Very talented guy, talented musician as well.
He's running all production now. I really like going down there. If you're buying a private stock, you know, I check almost every single one that goes out. I'm really careful. The only time that I don't check it is if I'm away for 2 or 3 weeks and the customer's waiting in it and they wouldn't get it at the end of the month if I didn't send it. Do you own a private stock?
I'm having one built, actually.
Are you really?
I am. Yeah, my 35th anniversary guitar. It's going to be a studio, but not with the trim. It's going to have the stop tail, wraparound stop tail, because that's my favorite bridge ever. And I'm going to have the narrow field deep dish pickups for the single coils.
What's wrong with that? Nothing.
I'm very excited.
These are the first 3 private stocks. On their own, just having them as a group together is remarkable.
These guitars have, if they've been played at all, they have had minutes of play because the gold is completely perfect.
Yeah.
There's no pick scratches. The finish is immaculate. It's crazy.
No, I think they've been incredibly well cared for and kept in the cases and stuffed away. It's cool to see how it began. Mark, I'm not sure how you guys negotiated getting these first 3 back here, but great job to you and your team, everybody here. Shout out to this video team. They do a great job. Yay.
Golf clap.
Are we going to do this archives thing again? I like these filmings from the archives.
I think we're going to continue to have things in here that are worth talking about.
There's a few of them I want to pull out.
Yeah.
Anyway, from the archives. Hey, Mark, we're doing good. Well done.